Traveling through the 16th year of the Zhenguan reign, he became the second prince of the Eternal Color King's house. At the beginning, it was a hellish mode, facing an almost unchangeable dead end. Marrying Princess Gaoyang. Fang Jun has already thought of death. But I don't know what happened. Princess Gaoyang cheated and the new lady became the gentle and kind Princess Jinyang. Fang Jun was overjoyed. Let's see how the famous second young master Fang plays with the Tang Dynasty. Petting your beloved wife, cooking, making glass, and developing iron tools, your business is getting bigger and bigger, and you are starting to govern your family and the world. Chapter 1. Crossing the second young master of Chengfang. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Where is this? Shangshu Zhuo Push, Liang Guogong Fangfu. Who is the bride? Your Royal Highness Princess. How many years is Zhenguan now? In the 16th year of the Zhenguan reign. Okay. You can go out now. Yes. Watching the servants walk out. Fang Jun felt speechless in his heart. Nima. Dead end. The beginning is hell. Which one is not good to travel through? Unfortunately, this one has become a famous color king in history, and she married Princess Gaoyang, the 17th daughter of Li Shimin. This master is not a kind-hearted man who believes in women. She grew up in the favor of Li Shimin, indulging in indulgence and being arrogant and unreasonable. Although there are also historical records that say she is intelligent, dares to love and hate, and has a clear distinction between love and hate, it always makes people feel overwhelmed. Looking up, there were lanterns and colorful decorations in the mansion that were very festive, with big red characters hanging everywhere and red lanterns hanging. The people attending the banquet have not yet dispersed, and the outside is bustling with singing and dancing. Today is a great day for Fang Jun, the second young master of the Liang Kingdom's mansion. He is married to Princess Gaoyang, the 17th daughter of the current emperor and also the most beloved daughter of the current emperor. The wedding banquet was naturally grand and lively. It is said that Li Shimin had just come over once, and a group of people knelt down to pay their respects and shouted, "Long live." Fang Jun walked out to take a look. Most of the people were unfamiliar, probably all of them were prestigious families, royal relatives, and nobles. After thinking for a moment, it's really a dead end for Chao Nima. The hall has already worshipped, and Li Shimin has also issued an order. The person has been sent to the mansion, which is located in the next room. Princess Gaoyang has a noble status and is naturally different from ordinary people who marry daughters. The emperor's words of gold and jade cannot be fake. So, Fang Jun could only give the old thief a middle finger. I pooh. What kind of thing is it? Come on. I want to divorce my wife. Be sure. Anyway, he is the second young master of the Fang family, not lacking in food and clothing. He is also very wealthy, and his military strength seems to be good. He is already the Grand Prince and the cavalry attendant. He is in charge of the wealth of the Golden Silk Mansion, as well as the construction of artifacts. There are more than 10 people under his command, and there seems to be no dissatisfaction. The only dissatisfaction is with the person being married. This person is not easy to provoke. After wandering outside for a while and getting familiar with the environment, Fang Jun thought for a moment and walked towards the wedding room. Although it's a dead end, we still need to see each other, right? I heard that Princess Gaoyang has a beautiful appearance, as beautiful as a celestial being, and is exceptionally talented. She speaks eloquently, but I don't know if that's the case. I always have to see it. Even if something really happens. Divorce your wife. Fang Jun felt heartbroken and waved his hand to dismiss the maid guarding the door. He pushed open the door and walked in. The wedding room was lit with red candles, pasted with red paper, and placed with many happy candies and fruits, very festive. Red mosquito nets, red duvet sheets, blue phoenix robe wedding clothes, covered with a red hood, making it difficult to see the appearance clearly in appearing grand and magnificent. She looks relatively thin, with a petite figure and delicate jade hands. Her skin is crystal clear, white and tender, exuding a beautiful luster. Although she has not yet lifted her red cap to look, she has already felt the elegant and noble atmosphere, and her body still emits a faint fragrance. It's her. It's her. Princess Gaoyang. He didn't lift the girl's red hood, but walked to the table next to him and sat down. He poured down a glass of wine and took a sip, hoping to drown his sorrows. But just as he drank a glass of wine, he suddenly spat it out, feeling a bit nauseous. What exactly is this cloudy and viscous thing? Is this wine? Sour and sweet. The bride sitting next to her seemed frightened and moved slightly. Fang Jun noticed that this girl is indeed a bit thin and small. She should still be a little lowly, but how old can she be at the age of 14 or 15? Almost so. He looked back at her and quickly wiped the corners of his mouth clean. All right. Let's talk first. Fang Jun didn't want to be silent, but said calmly, I've heard that Princess Royal Highness Princess is famous for a long time, but His Highness is in the palace, and Fang Jun has never seen him before. It's a pity. When I heard that Your Highness gave me a wedding, I asked Your Highness for advice many times, and it seems that Your Highness has never wanted to marry Fang. Actually, Fang Jun never thought he would marry a princess. However, as a member of the Fang family, he couldn't achieve great things in his life, so he was determined. Fang Jun also knew he was a rough person and didn't deserve a princess. How about this? Let's clarify with His Majesty, how about separating directly? A silence fell. The new lady didn't speak. The room was completely silent. You can hear the hustle and bustle of the banquet outside. Fang Jun waited for a while, but didn't hear her speak. He couldn't help but be surprised and said, What's wrong? Didn't you hear clearly? Let's clarify with Your Majesty and leave directly. The bride wearing a red hood moved as if she wanted to speak, but after a long time, she didn't speak. Fang Jun was speechless, so he continued, Now is the 16th year of the Zhenguan reign. Since His Majesty ascended the throne, he has been working hard, encouraging agriculture and mulberry cultivation, and ensuring that the people have abundant food and clothing, ushering in a prosperous era of the Tang Dynasty. In such a prosperous era, Fang Jun wants to meet you. Marriage is like a floating cloud to me, and I heard that His Highness is only 14 years old this year. How can he waste his prime time now? Getting married to the Fang family recklessly is really a waste of the princess. What do you want to say? The clear and melodious voice came out, like a oriole coming out of a valley, gentle and melodious, delicate and verdant, very beautiful. She finally spoke up. Fang Jun shrugged his shoulders and said, I say we can't make it. Fang Jun never wanted to honor the princess, and besides, he and His Royal Highness Princess have always been well and never offended the river. Now it's too much to make do with each other. How about we try to clarify with Your Majesty and cancel the engagement? The new lady fell silent again, breathing slightly. Can we discuss again if we don't agree? It's not a big deal. Seeing her reaction, Fang Jun hurriedly continued. It's still busy outside now, and it's not good to get along. It's best that we don't get married. Anyway, Your Royal Highness Princess, you are golden and beautiful, and there are many people who want to marry. What exactly do you mean? The bride was surprised. Fang Jun shrugged and said, Do I still understand what I said? Regret your marriage. The bride fell silent for a moment, seeming to not understand his meaning. What do you mean, are you unwilling to marry this palace? Fang Jun was taken aback and quickly said, That's almost what I meant. Anyway, I don't like you, and you don't like me either. It's best for us to go our separate ways, why bother getting along? The bride's breath was rapid in an instant, as if she was staring at him intently. She remained silent for a while before continuing to say, Fang Yiai, do you know the laws of the Tang Dynasty? Chapter 2. This palace is Princess Jinyang. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Oh. Fang Jun frowned in surprise and said, what if we know? What if we don't know? Aren't we discussing with you? Anyway, you were also forced, and I don't want to marry you. Let's cancel our engagement, it's good for both of us, isn't it? You. The bride seemed angry, suddenly reached out and pulled the red veil open, staring at him intently, with anger almost spewing out of her eyes. Fang Jun was slightly stunned and couldn't help but feel a bit stunned. Her soft and shiny long hair was coiled around her head, adorned with a noble princess bun and adorned with gold, silver, and glass phoenix hair accessories. She was elegant, with a stunning and beautiful face, a graceful cheong nose, plump lips, and delicate white earlobes adorned with black and yellow jade. Her finely crafted facial features were so beautiful that it was hard to look at her. With apricot eyes and peach cheeks, her pink and jade face was enchanting with phoenix eyes, shining like stars. Her eyes were icy cold, glaring angrily at Fang Jun. TSK. How beautiful. Although Fang Jun has seen many beautiful women in his previous life, it must be said that Princess Gaoyang is truly pure and elegant, as beautiful as a fairy, stunning. Just why are you so young? It looks even smaller than expected. The amazement in Fang Jun's eyes flashed away, feeling a bit strange. It's not a big deal to see so many beautiful women. The bride was slightly surprised when she saw him restore her clarity at a glance, and sneered, if you don't want to marry this palace, why should you agree to this marriage? Now that the 3 kowtows and 6 bows have been completed, and the Zongjing temple has been archived, where do you set up this palace and the royal family? Fang Jun frowned and said, although there is no way, we can only do so at this time. Don't your Highness Royal Highness Princess want to think about her own happiness? This reaction is different from what your Highness said before. You. How could you be like this? The new lady was furious and wanted to raise the sword in her hand, but it seemed so angry that she suddenly coughed. He coughed incessantly and quickly covered his chest. After his breath calmed down, he raised his head and stared coldly at Fang Jun. Fang Jun was surprised to see that she was out of breath, and hurriedly said, are you all right, Royal Highness Princess? Don't frighten me. Come on, let's have something to eat. By the way, it's no big deal. Your Highness Royal Highness Princess, you are a noble person. Ordinary people can't afford it, and Fang Jun can't afford it. Let's just talk about family life. The bride stared at these words and suddenly felt strange, her chest fluctuating. She continued to stare at him and said, if you don't want to marry this palace, you should explain to your father as soon as possible. Why stay at this moment and speak up? You are trapped in injustice in this palace. I'm very helpless. That's how I came here. Fang Juntan said, your Royal Highness Princess, you are pretty beautiful. Come here and discuss first. We can't be husband and wife, we can be friends. Or I can divorce my wife. There are many ways. Let's talk about it slowly and solve it slowly. Divorce. The bride suddenly became even more angry. Fang Jun hurriedly said, let's not divorce. However, how about we try to cancel it? Let's discuss it together. As long as we oppose it together, we can definitely ask your majesty to cancel the marriage. The new lady was once again infuriated, breathing rapidly, but feeling unwilling. She stared at him fiercely and said, do you think marrying the emperor Gaoyang has insulted the reputation of your Fang family? Or do you think Gaoyang has done something wrong to your Fang family? No. Fang Jun shook his head and said, I don't like you. You look like an ugly duckling, not the person I like. Bold. The bride suddenly became furious and her face turned red with anger. Fang Jun glanced at her and immediately felt happy. He quickly said, of course. This is just an excuse. But we are really not suitable for you to say, right? We don't need to be like that at all. Humph. You know it's not like that. It's just. How could this matter be so simple as I told you? If we could cancel this marriage. The bride paused. Fang Jun saw that she was already tempted, and his eyes lit up. He quickly said, how about it? Can we discuss it, right? We can try to cancel it. As long as we work together, I will tell my father that you can persuade His Majesty and we can definitely cancel it. The bride was overjoyed when she saw him, frowned and remained silent. Fang Jun hurried on and said, can you give me a word? Princess, you are so beautiful. You are really as beautiful as a fairy. On the contrary, Fang Jun is a rude person. How can you be worthy of your Highness Royal Highness Princess? Isn't this a waste of beauty? Your Highness Royal Highness Princess thinks about it carefully. Will you be happy to marry Fang Jun? You. The bride glanced at him and said angrily, okay. Tomorrow I will report my father's divorce. What else do you want? Upon hearing this, Fang Jun was instantly overjoyed and quickly said, there's nothing left. This is the best way. Oh my goodness, it seems like the dead end can be broken. Life has finally begun to take off. Even more joyful. The bride became even angrier when she saw him dancing, as if she had never expected that the second young master of this small household would want to get rid of him so much, which made her feel some self-doubt. Do you know that if this palace reports to the emperor, what would happen to your Fang family? What would happen to your Fang Erlang? Fang Jun's face froze. What you have committed is the crime of deceiving the king. What your Fang family has committed is also the crime of deceiving the king. If this palace reports to the emperor, your Fang family may be exempt from death, but life is inevitable. This marriage is not as simple as you think. The bride felt a little proud when she saw him feeling exhausted and said, since you think so, this palace will report to our father tomorrow to explain the truth. Whether it is death or life is up to our father to decide. I wiped it. This little girl is really difficult to deal with. Fang Jun's face turned to ashes, and indeed he couldn't escape this fate. Although he was not afraid of death just now, who wants to die again? Moreover, it is also related to the lives of hundreds of people in the Fang family. After thinking for a while, Fang Jun quickly flattered and said, yes, you have. I am just thinking for the sake of Royal Highness Princess. Fang Jun's original intention is not like that. Princess, since you don't like me, and I don't like you, why make do with each other? Wouldn't it be good to separate two people? Humph. How could this palace not know how good it is? However, the father's mandate cannot be violated, and the holy mandate cannot be violated. Why sacrifice one person in this palace for the stability of the Tang Dynasty? The bride snorted coldly, somewhat proud. Fang Jun didn't expect this little girl to be so great. There were only waves of silence in his heart. You think so now, but you definitely won't think so in the future. You were always reluctant to get married, otherwise there wouldn't be so much going on. Fang Jun let out a sigh in his heart. This marriage really can't be withdrawn. Let's not mention that the two of them kowtowed 3 times and bowed 6 times, and the hall had all bowed. It was Li Shimon's golden words and jade words that couldn't be fake. If the Fang family were to withdraw, where would the royal face be? If Fang Juanzhen dares to do it, then everyone in Chang'an will probably be in a state of chaos. Forget it. Let's find another way to solve it. He said with a sad expression on his face, too lazy to waste his breath. The bride felt relieved when she saw him feeling exhausted and said, do you still want a divorce? No more returns, no more returns. Humph. It's good to know. Actually, this palace is not Gaoyang Huangjie, but this palace is Princess Jinyang. Fang Jun was taken aback for a moment, seemingly not listening clearly, and immediately reached out to dig his ear. Staring at her intently. The bride's pretty face turned red, and her bright eyes flickered with shyness. Indeed. This palace is Princess Jinyang. Not Princess Gaoyang. What? He stood up suddenly. Chapter 3. Oh my goodness. Gaoyang to Jinyang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this moment, he realized the bride's immaturity was excessive, her stunning and suffocating face was red, and she seemed a bit embarrassed. I saw her blushing lips and a shy face as she spoke again. This palace is Princess Jinyang, not Empress Gaoyang. This time, I came because Empress Gaoyang refused to marry the Fang family, so I begged this palace to come. Here, I deeply apologize to Mr. Fang heir. Jinyang knows he is suffering from a serious illness and time is not long. In order to ensure the stability of the Tang Dynasty, I came to explore and hope that Mr. Fang heir will not blame me. Fang Jun was stunned. I am completely confused. I didn't react. Oh my goodness. Is there such a great thing as this? Has Fang Jun not been abandoned by the heavens yet? Surprisingly gave such a generous gift. Who is Princess Jinyang? This master is more than 1,800 times better than Princess Gaoyang. Princess Tang is far from being comparable to Princess Gaoyang in this piece of mud. Princess Jinyang, with the courtesy name Mingda and the nickname Sitsi, was born to Li Shimin and Empress Wendy. After the Empress passed away, she was personally raised by Li Shimin and was one of Li Shimin's most beloved daughters. It is rumored that Princess Jinyang is intelligent and kind-hearted, with a gentle temperament, knowledgeable and rational. She has a great historical reputation, but the only downside is that she suffers from a serious illness and loses her beauty at a young age. Now, she can get married. In fact, most princesses of the Tang Dynasty married early, such as the famous Princess Chengfang, who married Changsun Chong at a very young age, and Princess Lanling, Li Shu, not to mention that Li Shimin's 19 daughters were also very young. Being in a ruthless imperial family, the fate of most princesses is like this. Even if they are pampered, they are like goods, constantly facing the fate of being wooed by courtiers and marrying someone they don't like. History books even record that Li Shimin once wanted to marry one of his princesses to Unchangeable. And who is Unchangeable, this guy? 13 years older than Li Shimin, this princess is almost an old master. It is said that she is in her prime, as beautiful as a flower, and as beautiful as a fairy. She almost wants to marry someone from her own father or even her grandfather's generation, and the sadness in her heart can be imagined. If it weren't for Unchangeable's reluctance to marry, this matter might have become a reality. So for Li Shimin, the so-called princess and daughter are just goods. Like Princess Gaoyang, who is deeply favored by Li Shimin, being able to marry a wealthy second-generation nobleman like Fang Jun, wielding real power and extraordinary military force, is already considered very good. Looking at the girl's slightly pink and charming face, Fang Jun suddenly felt like he had been hit in the head by happiness. He almost fainted. The willow eyebrows are like a painting, the cheong nose is far and wide, the rosy and soft lips are delicate, the eyes are like misty smoke and autumn water, shining like stars, crystal clear, but exuding nobility and sacredness, making people dare not have a sudden heart. The blue phoenix robe and wedding dress appear elegant and magnificent, dazzling the world. The crystal clear jade hands compete against the snow and frost, so gentle and elegant, so innocent and noble, as if left behind and independent. If it weren't for being young, it would probably be even more beautiful and charming. What could be better than this? Fang Jun was so excited that he almost jumped up. No, 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 no. Li heir will kill me. Li heir will definitely kill me. Fang Jun suppressed his excitement and trembled uncontrollably. Gaoyang and Jinyang are bold and fearless. In fact, the former dares to rebel. What else is there that she dares not dare to do? Just say now. He can never marry Gaoyang. So Fang Jun soon calmed down, stared at Princess Jinyang, and said calmly, "What else?" In this way, it was your Royal Highness Princess who just kowtowed with Fang Jun in the lobby and saluted her husband and wife. Not your Royal Highness Princess. Now, your Highness Royal Highness Princess and Fang Jun have also become husband and wife, and they are good at playing zither. Not bad, he's going to solidify the relationship. Not giving Li Heir any chance to back out. Oh my goodness, what a generous gift. If you don't seize the opportunity, your hair will change color. It will be cut 1,000 times. Princess Jinyang's face was full of shyness, her long eyelashes hanging slightly, and 2 strands of beautiful hair hanging from her temples. Her beautiful face wore a look of shyness and complexity, and she gave him a slight glance before responding. Yes. Yes. Fang Jun felt ecstatic in his heart. But soon, he restrained himself. With a calm and composed demeanor on the surface, he quickly walked around the room with his hands behind his back. A heavy-hearted appearance. Princess Jinyang watched him walk, slightly surprised, and furrowed her beautiful eyebrows, seeming a bit uneasy. Is there anyone else who knows about this? Fang Jun suddenly turned around and asked. Princess Jinyang was surprised for a moment and said, yes, yes. However, I hope Mr. Fang Erlang will not blame Miss Gaoyang for this matter. Miss Gaoyang was also forced to do so. Now that this has happened, Jinyang deeply apologizes. No blame, no blame. Not only not blaming. I also want to give her a big gift. A generous gift. Fang Jun's heart was already blossoming with joy, but he still said with a troubled expression, so, Princess, you have fallen for Fang Jun's injustice. If the Emperor finds out, what should we do? At that time, the Emperor may blame the Fang family for being bold and committing crimes such as deceiving the Emperor, stealing the family, and destroying the family. Jinyang will naturally report this matter to her father. Empress Gaoyang has also prepared herself, please don't worry, Fang Erlang. Jinyang said hastily. Fang Jun was once again overjoyed in his heart. These 2 princesses are playing too well. It's possible. That's how it should be played. He immediately smiled and said, well, then Fang Jun can only be respectful rather than obedient. 3 kowtows and 6 salutations have already been done, and there are also ceremonies for husband and wife. In this way, Fang Jun can only be resigned to his fate. Royal Highness Princess, let's have a cup of wine. Ah! Princess Jinyang blushed all over her face, as if she was aware of something. Her bright and clear big eyes flickered with a hint of surprise, and suddenly she began to move around, quite amusing. Fang Jun went on. If you have bowed down, you should still kowtow 3 times, bow 6 times, and lift the big sedan chair 8 times. You can't fake it. The witnesses include not only your Majesty, but also Sun Wuji, the Prime Minister of Zhao State, who was the principal wedding. Fang Jun will not refuse to obey the orders of his parents and the words of the matchmaker. Please raise your hand to hand over the cup. Upon hearing her say this, the little girl's fair and pretty face instantly turned even redder. Her long eyelashes drooped slightly, blinking gently. Her big eyes were a bit shaky, as if she didn't know what to do. Her pretty face has almost turned red to the base of her ears, stunning and stunning. In a daze, when Fang Jun picked up a glass of wine and placed it on her little hand, which was bullying Frost Saishue, she instinctively clenched it tightly. Jinyang suddenly had a sudden inspiration and reacted, immediately saying, Fang Erlang, Jinyang is a person with a serious illness. Sun Tai previously asserted that Jinyang may not be able to hold on to this year. He came here just to have fun. Jinyang's original intention was not to harm Fang Erlang, but simply to plead with Emperor Gaoyang. Chapter 4. You should call my husband. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I know. Fang Jun nodded and said, but now that he has performed the ceremony of husband and wife, he dare not disobey the will of God. I'm afraid that the Royal Highness Princess appears here, and it is heaven's will. How can Fang Jun ignore it? Since it is Royal Highness Princess of Jinyang, it is Royal Highness Princess of Jinyang. What if he is suffering from a bad disease? Fang Jun has accepted his fate now. Upon hearing this, Jinyang's big eyes instantly turned red and a strong sense of emotion emerged. It seems that I didn't expect Fang Jun to be so emotional and righteous. Come on. Let's have a toast. Fang Jun smiled and looked at her like a little white rabbit, without saying a word later to avoid scaring her. Oh. Okay. In a daze, Fang Jun handed him a glass of wine, and then the two started drinking a toast. The little girl seemed to be overpowered by alcohol, and after drinking a glass, her pretty face became as delicate as fire, even more red. Fang Jun chuckled and said, "Spring nights are short and bitter. Let's not waste time. So, let's go to sleep." As he spoke, he blew out the candle. Ah! The little girl was visibly shaken, and in the darkness, a hint of terror appeared in her bright big eyes. I was about to speak, but suddenly I felt someone pick her up. She exclaimed once again in an instant, instinctively grabbing his collar and saying, Fang Lang Jun, why did you turn off the lights?" She was heart-pounding and seemed to have realized something was about to happen. Fang Jun felt her nervously smile and said, "You shouldn't call me Fang Erlang. You should call me husband, or you can call me husband. We already have a husband and wife." Ah! In the darkness, the little girl's big eyes were full of shyness, as if it was difficult for her. Her bony big eyes were crystal clear and extremely bright, resembling stars in the darkness, very beautiful. She doesn't seem to realize what will happen later. Just feeling extremely shy, his heart was pounding and he instinctively grabbed his collar. Fang Jun laughed and said, "Madam, let's enter the bridal chamber." Oh! Jinyang dared not say more, only feeling extremely nervous and breathing rapidly. His big eyes drifted away, as if he couldn't find a place to return. He was picked up by Fang Jun and gently placed on the show bed. Fang Jun only smelled a fragrance that was as fragrant as orchids and musk, elegant and sweet. The girl's delicate eyes rolled and her slightly long eyelashes blinked gently. The soft and fragrant jade had a lingering charm, and her temperament was captivating at first sight. Unfortunately, there is still a bit of pathological beauty. Fang Jun pulled down the curtain, covered the show bed, and continued to embrace the girl, feeling her beauty. Princess Jinyang glanced at him slightly, still feeling extremely nervous. She dared not move a single moment, and her chest was pounding. She doesn't seem to know what to do either. I want to cook cooked rice with raw rice. But it's still a bit unbearable. After all, she is really too young, only 12 years old. Although the girls nowadays are precocious, and Princess Jinyang is also knowledgeable, elegant, and generous, she is still sick. Fang Jun naturally dared not make any other moves, so he just hugged her. As for the rest, let's talk about it. The day ahead is long, don't rush for a moment. If nothing unexpected happens, Yiai will know everything tomorrow morning and there will be a good show to watch. Well, she needs to take off her clothes later. Anyway, we need to make it real. She cannot marry anyone else. With this thought in mind, Fang Jun began to sleep. After the little girl fell into a deep sleep, he quietly began to take action. First, go out to find your father Fang Xianling, and then return to your room to take off the little girl's wedding dress. TSK, it's really beautiful. With tightly closed eyes, apricot eyes and peach cheeks, sleeping soundly, like a beauty carved in ice and snow, with jade bones and ice skin, unparalleled beauty, breathtaking. The whole night passed like this, and the next morning, the house was indeed bustling with activity. It seems like the chickens are flying and the dogs are jumping, the sky is collapsing. Vaguely, someone was shouting, how unreasonable. How unreasonable. How dare you do this? It seems that someone is also crying. Fang Jun waited for a while, and sure enough, he waited for someone to come knocking on the door. The sound was very intense, and Fang Jun opened his eyes, just about to respond. However, at this moment, Jinyang cooperated and let out a scream. Ah! Her beautiful big eyes were filled with fear. It seems that my soul has completely dissipated. Fang Jun glanced and couldn't help but lick his lips. His hair was as beautiful as ink, and his beautiful face was slightly pink. His skin was crystal clear, shining with a beautiful luster, emitting a faint fragrance. You. Jinyang looked at him with a frightened expression, clutching the blanket tightly. Fang Jun smiled in his heart, but without explanation, he shouted outside, "Who is it? Fang Jun, hurry up and get out of here. Although I haven't seen it before, I can already hear the sound. Who else is there besides Li Shimin? TSK. You came so timely." Upon hearing this sound, Jinyang seemed surprised and her pretty face turned pale. Fang Jun quickly said, "Your Majesty." "Are you Your Majesty? Juner, why don't you come out and pay respects to Your Majesty?" Fang Xuanling's voice emerged with a strong sense of concern. Fang Jun quickly stood up and said, "Please wait, Your Majesty. Fang Jun will get up now." Speaking, he gave Jinyang a reluctant glance before getting up to put on his clothes. "This girl is really beautiful. Found the treasure." Fang Jun quickly put on his clothes and walked towards the outside. He saw that there were already many people standing outside, and the leader had a majestic and imposing figure. With his eyes shining on cold stars, his eyebrows curved like paint, his chest wide and wide, he exudes an unbeatable aura. Who else is there besides Li Shimin? Next to him stood another middle-aged man, dressed in official attire and hat, with a slightly plump body, a gradually protruding lower abdomen, and a bloated belly. His clothes were also oversized. Who else was not the famous Fang Xianling? Fang Jun's heart was filled with joy, but on the surface, he still felt anxious and fearful. He quickly bowed and said, "My humble servant Fang Jun kowtow to Your Majesty, wishing Your Majesty endless happiness and boundless life. I wonder why Your Majesty is coming at this time." Li Shimin remained silent and glanced slightly into the room, his face feeling uncomfortable as if his heart was already dripping blood. He stared coldly at Fang Jun and said, "Is Jinyang inside the house?" Fang Jun was taken aback and said, "Princess Jinyang. I don't know. I don't know why Your Majesty is asking so much." Li Shimin seemed to be angry and said angrily, "Fang Jun, you have so much courage. How dare you say you don't know? Who else is in the house now, not Jinyang? Fang Jun, please explain it to me honestly. If not, I will ask you. Your Majesty is wronged." Fang Jun hurriedly shouted, "I really don't know what Your Majesty is doing. Now it's natural that the one in the room is His Highness Princess Gaoyang who married Fang Jun yesterday. Is it? No, it's impossible. Fang Jun never thought about it. You." Li Er saw his anxious and fearful expression, and instantly felt nauseous like eating a fly, with a feeling of being unable to vent his anger. Fang Jun's heart is filled with joy. Chapter 5. Weichen and Princess Jinyang are married. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 6. The Premature Death of Jinyang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If Fang Xianling were to choose, then naturally she would still choose Princess Gaoyang. Imagine, who wants to choose a daughter-in-law who is sick and may die young at any time. Fang Xianling was about to speak, but he only heard Fang Jun say, "Your Majesty." Weichen and Princess Jinyang have long been married. Now, Fang Jun is also willing to marry Princess Jinyang and form a good relationship with her. Let's face each other and grow old together. I hope your majesty succeeds. Li Shimin's face softened for a moment, but he said coldly, "Humph. You think so? I haven't asked you yet." Fang Jun hurriedly said, "I deserve to die for my crimes. This matter concerns the dignity of the royal family. How should we deal with it? Your Fang family needs to come up with an explanation. If I hear anyone discussing my imperial son's matter." Li Shimin looked at Fang Xianling with ill intentions. Fang Xianling was surprised and quickly said, "I naturally know how to deal with it." "That's good. Go back to the palace." Li Shimin walked out first. Princess Gaoyang didn't even look at Fang Jun and Fang Xianling. She was as proud as a peacock and quickly followed behind Li Shimin. Although Li Shimin was angry about this, he still couldn't bear to blame her and Jinyang. As for the Fang family, it depends on the performance of Fang Xianling and Fang Jun in the future. Fang Xianling escorted Li Shimin to the door and walked back to look at Fang Jun, cursing, "You rebellious son. What should you do now? Are you really going to marry that sick seedling?" Fang Jun pretended to sigh and said, "Dad, I really have to marry this matter. My child and Princess Jinyang are already married, how can this be fake? Besides, if I don't marry, your majesty probably won't let our Fang family go." Fang Xianling snorted coldly and said, "Humph. How could this matter be so simple? Do you really think that your majesty is completely unaware of this matter?" Fang Jun was taken aback and widened his eyes. "Usually I ask you to read more books, but you refuse. You insist on wielding swords and guns, and your birth rate is uneducated. How many things in this world can I hide from your majesty's eyes?" Fang Xianling said coldly, "Now that Princess Gaoyang has become Princess Jinyang, I'm afraid your majesty has resorted to a double-kill strategy, not only to hit and strike my house, but also to bring joy to Princess Jinyang. Unfortunately, you have become someone else's fish and meat on the chopping board without realizing it, and are still complacent. Let me ask, is Princess Gaoyang better or Princess Jinyang better?" Fang Jun was taken aback and smiled, "Dad. It's not as powerful as you said, is it? How could this be so simple? Alright now. If you don't marry, you have to marry. Jinyang is already on the verge of premature death, and everyone knows it. If you enter my house, you will probably have to put in a lot of effort to take care of it. The one who marries you is not a wife, but a female bodhisattva. Besides, your majesty wants me to give him an explanation. What can my house give him an explanation for the trouble his daughter has caused?" Fang Xianling was indignant and looked at Fang Jun, saying, "You have to think about everything. Don't be arrogant. Now, it's hard to say that the house wants to export blood to your majesty and apologize for it." Although Fang Xianling said so, Fang Jun was still happy in his heart. I was about to burst into laughter. Haha. How about Fang Jia exporting blood? The Fang family is a wealthy family in Shandong, and exporting blood cannot eliminate the clan. Moreover, the reason why Li Shimin married his daughter was to win over the Fang family, otherwise there would be so much trouble. Now that he doesn't have to wear a hat or change the color of his hair, what's bothering him? Even if he married a sick and delicate woman, he still accepted it. He said, "Your Majesty is asking our Fang family to admit this mistake." Of course it is. Otherwise, why would he want our Fang family to explain? Fang Xianling said with some frustration, "I'm afraid he will have to go to court to apologize later. He said that you have known Jinyang since childhood and have secretly agreed to marry Princess Jinyang for life. He would rather marry Princess Jinyang than Gaoyang, and then His Majesty may use this to beat our Fang family. No matter how your Majesty handles it, you can maintain the royal face. As for your Crown Prince Feiqiao, don't want to be your husband's captain honestly." Fang Junel laughed and said, Dad. Child, I want to marry Jinyang. You. Fang Xianling suddenly felt a little angry and snorted coldly, you are in the midst of blessings and don't know your blessings. Forget it. Dad won't say anything anymore. When you get married, you'll know you're wrong. A sick seedling, how can you compare to Princess Gaoyang? Dad just wants you to enjoy happiness in the latter half of your life. To be fair, Princess Gaoyang is indeed better at this time. After all, Princess Gaoyang is not a sickly child, and her talent is also extremely high. She is knowledgeable and courteous. However, at this moment, Fang Jun is completely indifferent. As long as it's not the Color King, anything is good. Now, as long as Fang Xianling goes to court to apologize, he can marry Jinyang back home. As for asthma and so on, pay more attention, it can be treated, but it's just a bit troublesome. Fang Jun felt relieved and returned to his room to rest happily. In his room, there is still a faint fragrance left by Jinyang, which is very pleasant to smell. Fang Xianling naturally didn't bother to care about him, so he turned around and went to eat some food, preparing for morning court. As for how to deal with it, it is natural to apologize. It is said that Fang Jun has admired Princess Jinyang for a long time, and the two of them have been in a good relationship. Yesterday, they married Princess Jinyang, not Princess Gaoyang. We hope your Majesty can forgive us. Try to preserve the royal face as much as possible, and it cannot be said that the two princesses secretly swapped the bride. The result was naturally Li Shimon's anger, cursing Fang Xianling and Fang Jun for being shameless, and directly calling Fang Jun over to apologize. Fang Jun naturally didn't say anything. He bowed and bowed, apologized, and took on a major crime. In the end, Li Er had no choice but to pretend and beat the Fang family, removing Fang Jun from his position as Grand Prince and cavalry attendant, and asking him to go home and reflect. As for when Li Shimon will send Princess Jinyang over again, he did not say. It is estimated to take 10.5 days and a month to wait until the situation is over. Anyway, with the incident involving Fang Jun, now everyone in Chang'an knows that Fang Jun is marrying Princess Jinyang, not Princess Gaoyang. There are naturally many rumors circulating in the streets of Chang'an regarding this matter. It is said that it was Princess Gaoyang who didn't like Fang Jun and refused to get married that way. Fang Jun is a martial artist. It's strange that Princess Gaoyang likes him. Haha. Now Mr. Fang Er has married a sick seedling. Fang Jun likes to dance with knives and play with guns, and his birth rate is uneducated. How could he possibly be worthy of Princess Gaoyang? It would be great to marry a sick seedling. It is said that Princess Jinyang may not survive this year. Her face is pale, she is on the verge of death, and she doesn't know when she will die young. Nowadays, no one dares to marry her, and she didn't expect to be married back by Fang Jun. This is a great thing. That's not worth mentioning. Who in Chang'an doesn't know that Princess Jinyang Limingda is a sick seedling? Imagine, who wants to marry a sick seedling who could die young at any time and go home? Those nobles, or sons of aristocratic families are not unable to marry wives. Besides, Princess Jinyang is a royal princess. If she were to marry, it would be difficult for her to marry any other concubines. Nowadays, having 3 wives and 4 concubines is the norm, which most people find unbearable. If a normal princess is okay, she can still be married, but there is no need for a sick seedling. Maybe not marrying a princess will cause a lot of trouble. In fact, most princesses in ancient times were worried about getting married, and not everyone was willing to marry a princess, even in the Tang Dynasty. Chapter 7. Looking for Siraitia grosvenorii. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Because most princesses are arrogant and spoiled, and once married, they will be disturbed by the chaos. Secondly, the Tang Dynasty had an open atmosphere, and many princesses had once raised male pets, such as Princess Gaoyang who had an affair with monks, not to mention that her hair would turn green. Once again, many princesses are obsessed with power, and wealthy families are not only worried that after the princess marries in, she will act recklessly at home, but also afraid that these princesses will become obsessed with power and one day bring disaster to the family. Finally, Emperor Gaozu of Tang, Li Yuan, had Xianbei bloodline, and the prominent families in the hinterland of the Central Plains were unwilling to marry him in order to maintain his pure bloodline. The last one is not a joke, but a genuine one. At this time, the Guanlong aristocratic family and the Shandong aristocratic family were very powerful, and most of these noble families would not marry outside in pursuit of their pure bloodline. So, it is true that the emperor's daughter also worries about getting married, let alone that Fang Jun is still marrying a sickly young man who died prematurely at any time. Now that the news has spread, the Fang family has almost been laughed off by many aristocratic families. Fang Xianling was also a bit angry, but helpless. Li Shimin has already acknowledged this matter. When Princess Jinyang's condition improves and the situation fades, it is estimated that Jinyang will be sent over. Upon hearing many people discussing outside, Fang Jun's heart was almost filled with joy. Anyway, I won't marry Gaoyang. After leisure, Fang Jun drew a picture in the room and handed it to the servant outside. Fang Jun said, "Tianfu. You go to the market outside and post a reward. It is said that Fang Erlangjin wants it. A reward is given to a fruit, which is called Memordica grosvenorii, rahanko or fairy fruit. It usually appears in Lingue County, Shiren County, Guangxi. It grows under the hillside forest, in the wet section by the river or in the bush. The fruit is spherical or oblong, the size of a girl's fist, its leaves are heart-shaped, dioecious, flowering in summer, and bearing fruit in autumn. It is usually in clusters, similar to arhut, so it is called Memordica grosvenorii. The figure is here. If someone finds it, I will buy it with 3 liang silver." The servant named Tianfu has been serving Fang Jun for many years and is very familiar with him. After hearing this, he couldn't help but wonder, what's the use of second young master asking for this fruit? This fruit has a great effect. It can produce saliva and quench thirst, and is suitable for cough caused by lung heat or dryness, pertussis, and heat-induced thirst. In addition, it also has the effect of moistening the intestines and promoting bowel movements. Go tell the outside world how much I need. Be sure to purchase 100 of them, said Fang Jun. Tianfu couldn't help but be surprised. Second young master wants to buy this fruit. You just need to know. Go ahead. I'm in great use. Fang Jun nodded and said. Yes. The little one will go out and handle it immediately. Tianfu hurriedly walked towards the outside and posted a reward notice. Lehengwo knows fewer people now. This kind of fruit will be used by more people in the Song Dynasty, and it is estimated that not many people know it now. We need to make great efforts to search for it. After finishing this task, Fang Jun also started collecting other things. For example, mint, orange peel, perilla, dried earthworms, almonds, convolvulus, winter flowers, and so on. He still has a lot of silver in his hand, so naturally he is making a big purchase and will buy what he can first. When he had just finished his work, Tianfu hurried in and said, "Second young master, it seems that no one in Chang'an knows this Siraitia." Tianfu asked once, and all shook their heads. Fang Jun frowned and said, "You have someone go to Lingue County, Shiren County, Guizhou to search. They usually grow in the mountains." Tianfu hesitated for a moment, and said with worried face, "Second young master, do you want to use this fruit to cure Princess Royal Highness Princess?" Fang Jun was taken aback and said, "What? Is there a problem?" "Second young master, this matter has been passed on to many people, even your majesty and master have known it. This Lehengwo is unknown even to Dr. Lu in the east of Chang'an City, and many people say that second young master is a laughingstock." Tianfu hesitated and said hurriedly. Fang Jun was surprised and asked, how did it reach His Majesty and my father's ears? The amount of reward offered by the young master is too high, and many scholars are discussing this matter. In addition, the young master said the effect of this fruit, so naturally everyone knows what the young master means. Jianfu said with a worried expression, "Young master, it is said that someone has already reported to your majesty that second young master wants to use this fruit to treat Princess Jinyang. Your majesty seems a bit angry and even called the lord over." Fang Jun couldn't help but laugh and cry, "Don't care about them. We're looking for us. Go. Help me find someone to go to Lingue County, Shiren County, Guizhou. Bring me back the things." Jianfu was surprised and didn't dare to say much. He quickly replied, "Yes. Many people are watching the excitement." Saying that the Fang family married a sick seedling made them laugh. Over the years, Fang Xianling served as an official and prime minister, wielding immense power. There were many people in the Fang family who couldn't stand it. Nowadays, when these people see the possibility of mocking the Fang family, they naturally don't want to miss it. They immediately engage in heated discussions, ridicule, saying that Fang Jun is a laughingstock. Leading the way are naturally aristocratic families from Shandong, including the Li family from Zhaojun, the Wang family from Taiyuan, the Lu family from Fanyang, the Chui family from Qinghe, and so on. These days, the power of these aristocrats is astonishing, and they have been competing with Li Shimin for power. Fang Jun was too lazy to care about these things, so he collected his own things first and waited for Jinyang to come and treat her. "I don't know if it's useful, I need to give it a try first. Fang Juanjun is going to use this Lehengguo to cure Princess Jinyang." "What is this Lehengguo?" "I don't know. It said that the royal physician in the palace doesn't even know him. I'm afraid Sun Simiao and Sun Daochang don't know him either." Haha. The second prince of the Fang family is the son of the prime minister. The second young master of the Fang family may have seen a lot of knowledge, but he has met some divine treasures that have shocked everyone. Don't underestimate the abilities of the second prince of the Fang family, maybe they can really cure Princess Jinyang. Yixiao is generous. Take it seriously. A group of scholars outside burst out laughing, enjoying themselves. Nothing else. The Fang family is too prominent and huge, and everyone is happy to watch their misfortune. The second reason is that Fang Jun, who was originally a wealthy official, had a high salary that was too coveted. In addition, Fang Jun used to be considered a playboy in Chang'an, always arrogant and domineering, eating, drinking, gambling, deceiving, kidnapping, and being proficient in everything. He didn't like to dance and write, but rather liked to wield swords and guns. He was a martial artist who was quite famous in Chang'an. Otherwise, Princess Gaoyang wouldn't have wanted to marry him. Now that Fang Jun has made a fool of himself, everyone naturally laughs at him. Fang Jun naturally knew that those people were discussing, but he didn't mind. After offering a reward for several days, he found that no one knew Lehengguo at all. He could not help frowning, so he directly raised the reward to 10 liang silver. 10 taels of silver. 10 taels of silver. Fang Erlangjian bought Siraitia grosvenorii with 10 taels of silver. 100 pieces are needed, first come, first served. In addition, Fang Erlangjian offered a reward to the whole world for a folk prescription for treating asthma and drinking. Each folk prescription is 100 taels. If it is effective, 1,000 taels will start, the better the effect will be, and the higher the price will be. Tianfu exclaimed outside. And as soon as this matter came out, some scholars outside suddenly made a loud noise. Chapter 8. Is Fang Yiai crazy? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Is Fang Yiai crazy? 10 taels of silver per coin. A scholar was surprised. He was Chui Hian, a descendant of the Chui family in Qinghe. What kind of immortal fruit is it? I don't know if there is one in this world. Maybe it's to express his feelings to your majesty. A scholar mocked, but it was Pei Qingyun from the Pei family in Hedong. Haha. He wants to express his feelings to His Majesty before marrying a sick seedling. Didn't he originally want to marry Princess Gaoyang? Who knows? Maybe the second young master Fang really made a lifelong pact with Princess Jinyang. Pei Qingyun laughed heartily. Fun. Ha, fun. Fang Jun is crazy. Some scholars discussed and said, looking very interested. The news quickly reached Li Shimin's ears. Li Shimin glanced, squinted his eyes, frowned, and immediately asked Fang Xianling, Fang Yicheng, what does this Fang Jun mean? Fang Xianling had a dark face and didn't know what the rebellious son was doing. He could only explain truthfully, Your Majesty. Fang Jun probably wanted to worry about the princess. He probably heard that Princess Jinyang was sick, so he came up with this plan. What is the Siraitia fruit? Li Shimin asked with a frown. I don't know. I've never heard of this before. Fang Xianling quickly said. Humph. Since I don't know, why are you still offering this reward? Does he think there really is any divine fruit or not? Li Shimin snorted coldly, his face full of dissatisfaction, and continued, You go back and tell him that Jinyang is sick and weak. I am extremely worried and won't marry him for the time being. Let him not have any illusions. Yes. Weichen obeys. Fang Xianling hurriedly said, rushing back to find Fang Yiai. Fang Jun is currently busy at Fangfu. If you want to be the king of color. No. If you want to cure asthma, you can't just rely on Siraitia grosvenorii and some folk remedies. You also need a clean and tidy environment. So he used his silver to buy a piece of land behind the house, intending to demolish and build a clean and tidy house. As a former grand tutor and cavalry attendant, coupled with being the second young master of the house, Fang Jun naturally has a lot of silver in his hands. Not much, about 500 taels, enough for him to use for a long time. If he needs to use money, he can also overdraw some money from the house, which is why he dares to offer a reward. His salary is actually not much, about 3 taels of silver per month, but there are some fiefdoms and rewards, which, when combined, are about 5 taels of silver per month. Don't be fooled by the fact that 5 silver coins may not sound like a lot, in fact, few people can get such a high salary. For a prime minister like Fang Xianling, his monthly salary is only 10 taels of silver. Only when encountering rewards from the emperor will there be more things. For example, Li Shimin rewards some golden melon seeds, which are very expensive, one is 10 taels of silver. After serving as prime minister for so many years, Fang Xianling naturally received a lot of rewards. Otherwise, others wouldn't have said that the Fang family had great achievements and immense power. I spent over 100 taels of silver to buy a piece of land, intending to overthrow it and rebuild a mansion as my own private residence. Now that he has a family, he can make his own decisions. So when Fang Xianling returned home and saw him drawing blueprints at home, he couldn't help but be surprised. Juner, what are you doing? Fang Jun looked up and said, Dad, I bought a piece of land and I'm planning to build a new house. It's not far from next door. Why are you building a new house? Fang Xianling looked surprised, not knowing what Fang Jun was up to. Of course it's for living. The child has already started a family, and it's inconvenient to live in the mansion now, so I want to move out. Fang Jun answered truthfully. The reason why he wants to move out is not only for Jinyang, but also for himself. Having traveled through time, he was somewhat unaccustomed to living with this nominal father and naturally wanted to move out. Moreover, after finally coming to the Tang Dynasty, he also planned to do some things. For the sake of his own convenience, he also planned to move out, otherwise he would always be under the control of Fang Xianling and feel uncomfortable in his heart. Upon hearing this, Fang Xianling seemed unable to laugh or cry. Juner, are you doing this for the sake of Jinyang? Fang Jun shook his head and said, It's not just for her, but also for myself. Dad, I happen to have some spare money in my hands now and I'm planning to spend it. Aren't you offering a reward for that divine fruit? What exactly is that divine fruit? Fang Xianling saw this and asked angrily, now your majesty says he doesn't know this fruit. What are you doing so recklessly for? Fang Jun suddenly smiled and said, what if your majesty doesn't recognize it? This fruit has a special purpose, and I naturally came to find it to treat Jinyang. What's the use of this fruit? Fang Xianling suddenly became angry and said, your actions are really embarrassing to the Han sect, making people laugh and be generous. Even Sun Simiao and Sun Daochang say they don't know this fruit. What insights can you have as a martial artist? Not to mention whether you can obtain this fruit, but even after you obtain it, your majesty may not let you use it. Dad. Sun Daochang doesn't know all the medicinal herbs in the world. What's strange about not knowing him? Just because Sun Daochang doesn't know doesn't mean it's useless. Although I don't know if I can cure Princess Jinyang, at least I can give it a try. Fang Jun explained helplessly. You. Juner, your brain burned out. Fang Xianling frowned upon hearing this, feeling that Fang Jun was a bit strange. Fang Jun couldn't help but laugh and cry, of course not. The child is very clear-headed. Dad, don't listen to what people outside say. I must find that fairy fruit. Fang Xianling immediately frowned as she watched Fang Jun's heart become increasingly strange. Since getting married, this son seems to have changed a lot, as if he has changed his face. A few days ago, there were many official matters that I hadn't noticed yet. However, at this moment, I suddenly felt that this martial artist had really changed a lot. If he used to be a house dandy, who only knew how to wield swords and guns, eat, drink, whore, gamble, and be angry with him, where would he be? However, at this moment, it seems to recognize these. After some thought, Fang Xianling didn't want to blame him and said, do you really have this immortal fruit? Of course there is. The child heard from a Taoist passing by Chang'an. It is said that it can cure asthma and drinking. If not, why should the child offer a reward? Fang Jun said calmly, if the reward is not received in a few days, then the child may have to go to Shiren County in Guizhou, maybe they can find this fruit. Never go. Shiren County in Guizhou is 108,000 miles away from Chang'an, complex and full of bandits. How did you get there? If you really have this divine fruit, then you can offer a reward in Chang'an and never go by yourself. Fang Xianling quickly said, glaring at him. I'll save it. Fang Jun said. That's good. Add a little more reward chips. Maybe we can find them. Fang Xianling felt relieved when he saw him say so, and didn't want to blame him. Chapter 9. What is he doing? For Jinyang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In fact, Li Shimin highly valued Fang Jun, and even said that he was brave and extraordinary, with exceptional military strength and the style of the Tang war god Luo Cheng. Otherwise, he would not have placed Fang Jun in such an important position as the Grand Prince and cavalry attendant, nor would he have married his beloved Princess Gaoyang to him. So even if Fang Xianling is angry at this moment, she will not loudly blame. Ignoring Fang Xianling, Fang Jun continued to be busy and found a ruler to draw the blueprint for the new house. Since he wanted to build a house, it would have to be different from other houses. A new house should be clean, tidy, and generous, and not too unique. It should conform to ancient characteristics. He has reached adulthood and has great autonomy, so there are some things that do not even need to refer to Fang Xianling's opinions. He continued to get busy and waited. After waiting for several days, Fang Jun still couldn't find the Lehengguo. Suddenly, he was a little worried, and continued to increase his chips, raising the reward amount to 20 liang. At this moment, it once again shook Chang'an. Fang Xianling is the prime minister of the current dynasty. What is his salary? It's about 10 taels of silver. How much is 10 taels of silver equivalent to these days? About 20,000 renminbi, of which 20,000 taels is 40,000 renminbi. For the Tang Dynasty, this was already a large sum of money, referring to 20,000 yuan in the 1960s. Fang Jun spent 40,000 yuan to buy a Siraitia fruit, which naturally has attracted many people's attention and discussion. What's more, he still offers rewards for other recipes. Young Master Fang heir is crazy. The Fang family really has a big family and a big business. Cui and mocked. Fang Jun seems to be determined to win Arhat. It is said that he has sent a team of people to search Shiren County of Guizhou. He even plans to go there in person. Pei Qingyun is very narrow-minded. Can he find the so-called Lehenguo? It's really a joke. Cui Hian laughed, full of contempt. It's extremely. In the market, many people burst into laughter and enjoy seeing Fang Jun make jokes. And on that day, another important news came out. Fang Jun had already gathered his troops and decided to personally go to Shiren County in Guizhou. After hearing this news, many people were shocked, their eyes widened, and they couldn't believe it. Even Li Shimin was like this. Why is Fang Jun like this? He must find some divine fruit. Is he crazy? Li Shimin asked Fang Xianling. Fang Xianling was somewhat helpless and said, Your Majesty, has your Royal Highness Princess's illness worsened a lot these days? This. Li Shimin was surprised. Junior has already heard about this matter from Dr. Wang, so he has been very worried and unable to eat for the past few days. Fang Xianling said helplessly, although I have also advised him not to go there, I have made up my mind and will no longer listen to what I have said. Therefore, I cannot stop him. He has summoned dozens of people to personally go to Shiren County in Guizhou. Upon hearing this, Li Shimin was taken aback and seemed a bit incredulous. Is he doing this for Jinyang? Fang Xianling nodded and could only say, Junior has a deep affection for Princess Jinyang, and I hope your Majesty can fulfill it. Li Shimin immediately looked at him with a silent expression and did not immediately answer the question. In my heart, there are waves of silence. Does Jinyang have such great charm? Not necessarily. Gaoyang is much more beautiful than Jinyang. And on the other side. Fengyang Pavilion, Princess Jinyang Mansion. A beautiful girl sat on the windowsill, staring blankly outside. Under her fair and smooth forehead, a pair of distant mountain-like eyebrows gently furrowed, as if locked in an invisible strand of sorrow. A slender waist tied a thin ribbon, exuding a graceful feeling from the bones. The long black hair draped down, covering the beautiful chest, as if it were a fairy. Who else is there besides Princess Li Mingda of Jinyang? At this moment, she was in a daze, she never expected this to happen again. Your Royal Highness Princess. It is said that Fang Fuma has gone out and went to Shiren County of Guizhou in person. It seems that it is necessary to find some fairy fruit to cure the princess. It is also said that Fang Fuma has offered many prescriptions to cure the princess, but I don't know whether they are useful or not, said the maid next to him, named Xiaohe. Li Mingda frowned beautifully and looked worried. Did he really go there in person? That's right. Nowadays, many people outside say there are no divine fruits, and Fang Fuma is just a show of shame from the Han family, causing a big smile. However, Fang Fuma seems to be stubborn and has personally led people to search for her. The day before yesterday, Fang Fuma even went to inquire about the princess's condition with Wang Tai, seeming to be anxious. Xiaohe said softly, observing Jinyang's reaction. This. Jinyang blinked her beautiful eyes, feeling a bit incredulous. She furrowed her eyebrows and didn't know how to respond. After thinking for a moment, she looked frightened and blushed, saying, Xiaohe, did I harm young Master Fang? This. Xiaohe said with a stagnant face, don't think so, Your Highness Royal Highness Princess. It's estimated that the second son of Fang will marry Your Highness for 8 generations. How can ordinary people have this opportunity? He is too happy now. No, no. Jinyang shook his head and said with a worried expression, Xiaohe, you have forgotten that Fang Erlang was originally going to marry Gaoyang Huangjie. If Jinyang hadn't suddenly passed by, he would have already married Gaoyang Huangjie. And Gaoyang Huangjie is many times better than Jinyang, where can Jinyang be compared to? And now it seems that Jinyang has implicated Fang Erlang, causing him to lose his official position. He is still running around like this. Xiaohe was shocked, and hurriedly continued to comfort. Your Highness, Royal Highness Princess, it seems that the former two husbands don't want to marry Princess Gaoyang. Why don't we wait until the latter comes back, and then your Highness, Royal Highness Princess will ask him why. Li Mingda's face froze and he nodded seriously, saying, Xiaohe. When Fang Erlang comes back, if you have time, you can go to the Fangfu and thank him for me. He said Fang Erlang doesn't need to be like this. Jinyang is sick and I'm afraid there's no way to repay him. Yes. Xiaohe quickly replied, feeling a little worried when he saw her face turn pale. In recent days, His Royal Highness Princess has indeed coughed a lot, almost coughing and bleeding, which makes His Majesty worried. I hope nothing happens to her. Fang Jun felt that in order to not be the eternal color king, he also fought hard. Chang'an, which is in good condition, insists on running to Shiren County in Guizhou, a place where birds don't poop. Traveling thousands of miles. How far is Shiren County in Guizhou from Chang'an? At least 3,000 miles, he needed to climb dozens of mountains to enter the Shu Road, but he just ran over. Fortunately, he has an excellent physique. Otherwise, I don't know how to survive. Anyway, Jinyang cannot die. He cannot marry Gaoyang. So, we can only continue to throw money and offer rewards. Chapter 10. The Coarse Martial Man, Ignoring Wild Fruits. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When he arrived in Lingui County, Shiren County, Guizhou, Fang Jun stayed for 10 days, not only offering a reward at the market, but also personally leading his team into the mountains to search. There are a lot of poisonous insects and mist in the mountains. Fortunately there were many of them, so there were no accidents. This place is very close to the origin of Siraitia grosvenorii, which is naturally easy to find. Fang Junhua found the trail of Siraitia grosvenorii after 3 days. That's it. I need more. Tianfu. Send someone to find it now. Fang Jun saw clusters of green vines growing not far away. The green vines were covered with unknown wild fruits that looked like gourds. What else was there other than Siraitia? He was immediately overjoyed. You're here at the right time. Yes. Tianfu, who followed, quickly responded and immediately led someone to search the mountains. In this search, I found a lot of arhat fruit trees and harvested more than 100 arhat fruit trees. He was immediately overjoyed and smiled with great satisfaction, saying, Not bad, not bad. That's it. Let's go home. Yes. Second young master. With the goods in hand, Fang Jun naturally won't continue to stay in Shiren County, Guizhou, and quickly set off back to Chang'an. Over and over again, Fang Jun spent a full month. After he returned to Chang'an, everything had calmed down. His marriage had already happened a month ago, and when he reappeared, his face was full of vicissitudes, a beard, and he was unkempt. However, despite this, when Fang Jun appeared on the streets of Chang'an, he still caused a commotion. Many people have heard that he has returned. Fang Jun found the immortal fruit. How could it be? Is there really a immortal fruit? Ha! What immortal fruit? I went to see it. It's just some ordinary wild fruits. It's fortunate that he found them as a treasure. A crude martial artist, he doesn't know wild fruits. Pei Qingyun sneered. I've heard about it too. It's said to have been found in the mountains and forests, everywhere. What other fairy fruit is there? It's just a useless wild fruit. Pigs don't even eat it. Cui and Enshitsi also smiled. He had some personal grudges with Fang Jun. When Fang Jun was dominating Chang'an before, he had taught him a lesson. Exactly. It's a big smile. Upon hearing this, the scholars of Chang'an immediately burst into laughter. There are countless wild fruits in the mountains, where are there any immortal fruits? Moreover, in the barbaric border areas, retrieving the immortal fruit is not only useless, but may also be poisonous. Many people have mocked the second young master of the Fang family for being illiterate as a joke. The fairy fruit cannot be used directly after being taken back. It needs to be sun-dried and eaten together with rock sugar. If the cough is severe, other medications need to be added. Fang Jun was not in a hurry and immediately started working on it. And at this moment, the Fengyang pavilion in the imperial palace. Xiaohe also received the news and quickly reported to Jinyang. In fact, many people outside are mocking Fang Erlang. They say Fang Erlang is foolish and found wild fruits to come back and serve as immortal fruits. Shiren County in Guizhou is a border area. It is said that this place is all deep mountains and vast expanses, covered in poisonous insects and mist, and extremely dangerous. However, Fang Ergong searched inside for 10 days and finally found the fruit. But at this moment, Fang Erlang has not yet paid tribute to His Majesty. I don't know what he thinks. Perhaps it's really similar to what those people say. That's just an ordinary wild fruit. Xiaohe also heard from others that Fang Erlang had traveled more than 3,000 miles in a month, and by the time he returned, he had already lost a few pounds and his face was full of vicissitudes. Everyone in the house was heartbroken. Princess, it seems that Fang Erlang has only found a few unknown wild fruits. Xiaohe looked at Jinyang with a worried face, a little afraid that Fang Jun would impersonate an unknown wild fruit as a fairy fruit to win Jinyang's favor, and as a result, harm the princess. Jinyang listened as he slowly finished speaking, his long eyelashes flickering with a hint of heartache. Did he really travel more than 3,000 miles? That's right. It's said to have indeed arrived in Shiren County, Guizhou. Xiaohe said with a serious expression, but what's despicable is that many people outside say that Prince Fang Er is a fool, and even mock him and Princess Yu. Xiaohe paused for a moment, suddenly hesitant to continue. Jinyang has been gifted with intelligence since childhood, and naturally understands the meaning of Xiaohe with a sorrowful expression. Nowadays, everyone in Chang'an knows that she is a sick seedling. Xiaohe quickly said again, Your Highness, if the second young master in that room is really just acting on the spot, what should he do? Jinyang glanced at her and shook his head, saying, Xiaohe, if Fang Er Gongzi marries Gaoyang Huangjie, it will be much better than marrying Jinyang. Ah! Xiaohe suddenly realized, isn't that the second young master in the room? Jinyang had a sorrowful expression on his face, with no blood on his face. He was worried and said, Later, you will go out and help me go to the Fang family. I'm afraid Jinyang has nothing to repay for his life, so please don't do this to Fang Er Gongzi. Jinyang is a patient with no talent or virtue, and cannot afford Fang Er Gongzi's great kindness. After speaking, she immediately coughed a few times, her stunning and beautiful face turning pale. Yes. Xiaohe quickly and gently patted her back to make her feel more relaxed. Up to now, few people know about Siraitia grosvenorii, and even few people eat it in Guizhou Yaozhai. Most people do not know its efficacy. In fact, Siraitia grosvenorii has great medicinal and edible value. As the saying goes, medicine is divided into 3 parts, but it is not absolute. Mamortica grosvenorii is a plant recognized by the Ministry of Health as both food and medicine, and has no other side effects. According to traditional Chinese medicine, Mamortica grosvenorii is sweet, sour, cool in nature, has the effects of clearing heat and cooling blood, promoting fluid production and relieving cough, smoothing intestines and expelling toxin, rejuvenating skin and improving skin, moistening the lungs and resolving phlegm, and can be used to prolong life, stay in the face and look happy, and treat phlegm, heat, cough, sore throat, constipation, thirst and irritability. In addition, Momordica grosvenorii contains Momordica grosvenorii glycoside, which is 300 times sweeter than sucrose and does not generate heat. It is a valuable raw material in the beverage and candy industry and the best substitute for sucrose. Lehengwo can also be made into arhat fruit tea, arhat candy drink, Lehengwo red date tea, Lehengwo hautuinia, Lehengwo motherwort soup, arhat japonica rice porridge, arhat snow pear drink, arhat fig tea, arhat 5 plum tea, Lehengwo mint tea, etc. The effect is simply not too much. It is not an exaggeration to say it is a divine fruit. Fang Jun harvested over 120 pieces in total and hung them all on the roof to dry. Seeing Fang Jun busy, everyone in the house complained and laughed incessantly. The unknown wild fruit was treasured by Fang Erlang, who was indeed a crude warrior with no knowledge or skills. Second brother, why are you so thoughtless? Where is there any immortal fruit in the world? You are making people laugh at our house for being ignorant and incompetent. Let's not talk about the barbarian land with many poisons, but about the disease of Princess Royal Highness Princess. How could your majesty not be worried? Even the famous Taoist priest Sun Simiao has declared that it is extremely difficult to recover from this disease. Do you think you are even worse than your majesty? Fang Yizhi saw him busy in the mansion and said indignantly. He has a tall figure, wears an official hat, is gentle and elegant, and exudes a scholarly aura.